And we are live. Hello, welcome back to Cinema Savvy for 2018. I'm Chris Garner, joined tonight with Tate Niawa to give our review on The Greatest Showman, which is technically a 2017 movie directed by Michael Gracie, starring Hugh Jackman, Zac Efron, Michelle Williams, Rebecca Ferguson, and Zendaya. I guess because we haven't put a video out for like a week, I should say that I hope that everyone had a happy Christmas, happy holidays, whatever you celebrated, and you all had a very good and safe new year. And now that we're into 2018, we're going to be ramping up the content. We've all taken a couple of weeks break, but we are back into it now. Not kicking off with Oscar films, unfortunately, but we will be back with a live stream tonight with our best and worst films of 2017 to sort of cap off that 2017 year of movies. I don't think this will get into either of my lists tonight, which is kind of giving away what my review of this film will be.
I'm assuming it's very middle of the road. I haven't actually seen this film. All I really know about it is it's about the circus, and it has a decent cast, and the music was done by the same dude who did the music for La La Land, which made me it made me kind of excited about the music side of things, but it didn't really have me too excited seeing Hugh Jackman as not Wolverine or not in Les Mis.
Yeah, no. What I was going to say was with the whole La La Land thing, I believe that they wrote the lyrics to City of Stars in La La Land, and that was it. Like, it's not. Was it Justin Horowitz, whatever his name was?
Here's the thing: City of Stars won the best song at the Oscars.
It did.
Yeah, I'm willing to say it wasn't the best song.
No,
it definitely wasn't.
No.
Here's the one. The Dreamers is by far the best song from La La Land.
Yeah.
With probably a close second going to Another Day of Sun. Like, I just City of Stars is quite a bland. It's a nice song for the film, but like it's one of those songs where the impact comes from the actual music behind it, not the actual lyrics.
But it's interesting actually that you bring up La La Land, because this trailer came out sometime, I think midway through last year, and because we were still riding the La La Land hype because we both really enjoyed that film, we were like, oh, another big budget musical released around December, maybe trying to scrape a few Oscars, and it felt like a poor man's La La Land. Now, don't get me wrong, this movie is absolutely nothing like La La Land at all, but you could see maybe the mechanics there in terms of the advertising and the release date and things like that. This did not need to be a December movie at all. It's got very stiff competition with Star Wars The Last Jedi. It's also got the family comedy film of Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, which is actually doing very, very well. But usually musicals are very popular around this time, so I can maybe vaguely understand the reasoning behind it. But for anyone who doesn't know what the greatest...
Also,
go on, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is very weird, because this is a directional debut.
It is.
Am I correct in saying he's barely done anything? I've just had a look at his IMDb, and literally he does visual effects on a couple of films, and the last one was in like 2005. He's done nothing for the last 10 years.
And that is very interesting, actually. I'm going to bring that into my review of this film, in that the well, we'll go into the plot first. If you read IMDb, I'll come back to this thing of what the director's done before.
So, inspired by the imagination of P.T. Barnum, The Greatest Showman is an original musical that celebrates the birth of show business and tells of a visionary who rose from nothing to create a spectacle that became a worldwide sensation. Now, from seeing the trailer to this film, I could already tell that this film was going to be nothing like the true story like of P.T. Barnum, because he's done some really, really some questionable things.
Yes, morally great
the circus things. And stuff like that.
He did some great things, like I believe he founded some kind of hospital. I'm going to be honest, I don't know much about P.T. Barnum's life. I read a Wikipedia article before doing this. He did a lot of stuff, but I wouldn't say inherently he was a nice guy. Maybe he had good intentions, but the way that he went about those in real life was not that way. Essentially, I'm going to try and be as spoiler-free as I can with this review, because I really don't have much to say about it, but
is it worth saying that he is a product of his time?
Yes, I was. Yeah, absolutely. But basically, if you've seen the trailer to this film, you know exactly what kind of film you're going to get. The best way I can describe it is that it feels like it's not a Disney film, but it feels like a Disneyfication of those real life events, where they take something that has very serious subject matter, say if like Disney's Pocahontas or something, but they make it into a bright, fanciful musical that's about uniqueness and discovering yourself, being proud to be who you are. This is me, all of that stuff, and that's essentially what the entire film is, and it doesn't deviate away from those themes at all. But going to the director very briefly, Michael Gracie, you mentioned that really all he's done, he was a digital artist, digital compositor, visual effects supervisor, essentially hanging around special effects and visual effects and things like that. There are elements of that in this film, and if I'm going to get my positives out the way first, the stage in itself and choreography are fantastic. They are a spectacle. There's a musical number in the film between Zac Efron and Zendaya's character, and she's a not a trapeze artist. She's a trapeze artist, but you know where they have the hoops and then they swing around the ground. They do a musical number involving that, and the choreography and everything like that that goes with it is great to watch. And you know that a lot of work went into that. Even some of the background dancers and some of the characters in the background with what they're doing is very interesting and very energetic. All that stuff's great. And the performances too. Hugh Jackman, Michelle Williams, even Zac Efron, everyone really does genuinely give a good performance in this film. But with the director being, you know, more savvy in special effects, I do get that aspect from it, that he's focused a lot on that. And unfortunately for me, pretty much everything else with the film was a failure for me. The story is so trite. It's been there, done that. And you know that they've just avoided every bit of intrigue and, you know, dark subject matter from the real life events. They've sacrificed all of that interesting stuff for a movie and gone with the lowest common denominator.
They've gone for they've gone for the light-hearted PG version instead of the slightly darker. They basically gone for, we want this film to be popular, not good.
Yeah, absolutely. And the writing it feels like a fairy tale. It honestly does feel like a Disney. Like the writing's very simplistic. It's very cliched. And you know, if you're going into a movie for that, then that's fine. You're going to get that. If you've seen the trailer, you're going to get that in spades, and you're probably going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
This wasn't a bad movie per se. It's just very average and doesn't leave you with any impact at all. It doesn't. The music as well. Like a big fault of this movie for me is the music itself. The music, the music essentially of this film took me out of the film every time a new musical number queued up. And as a musical, that's bad.
Would it have done better with it not being a musical?
Yes. I got about halfway through the movie and thought if they'd have just done like a straight up biographical film about P.T. Barnum, maybe make it dark, maybe not like The Elephant Man dark, for example, with John Hurt, but like you could do something like that with this guy. Like you really could explore all of that stuff and make this a really hard hitting film about a guy who's not particularly.
Instead, they went for bright and colourful and musical.
Yeah, but Hugh Jackman's great, and I mean, he doesn't like phone it in or anything like that. He always gives it his all. He's very enthusiastic. He's done a lot of these musicals before with like Les Mis, and when he was on stage back in his earlier days when he did musicals. Fine performances all around. Everyone gives it their all, but it's just the material they have to work with isn't particularly gritty or enough meat to it to really, you know, carry any weight to it. Rebecca Ferguson as well, who was in Mission Impossible 5, really like her as an actress. There's elements there where it could be really good. There could be really good stuff, but unfortunately the music keeps coming back. And as I was saying about the music, when I heard...
Is it the pacing there? Is it the pacing? Does it like feel like it's chopping up the film?
No,
is it just...
The pacing really isn't that bad. I mean, the movie's like an hour and 40 long. I think it's not a particularly long movie.
Yeah, it is an hour 45.
Yeah, around that mark. It didn't drag or anything like that. It gets in, gets out. It moves at a very good pace, and it doesn't particularly drag. But because it's a story that you feel like, you know, it's been there, done that, and you know how it's going to turn out, that could maybe drag it down a little bit. The music for me, this is what drags it down for me in terms of my review for this film, because as a musical, music is crucial. That's pretty much half the movie. They do musical numbers in this film, which I actually congratulate in that they're musical numbers where the story is told through the music. They advance the story and plot points and aspects of the character through the music. It's not really just throwaway songs. So I will congratulate for that, because the best musicals are the ones that do advance the story.
Because as far as La La Land is concerned, there's only one song I would say which doesn't further advance the plot. But I feel like that's kind of introducing you into the world.
Which
So I
song
can't tell whether
was that Another Day of Sun
Another Day
you cut
Sun.
out there? Yeah.
Yeah. Because um someone could be the one, like that song is all about kind of her going with her friends out towards the party, and that kind of takes it to the location.
Yeah.
All of the other songs in the film itself are furthering the characters or furthering the plot. That first song is the only song which doesn't involve the two main characters, and because of that, it doesn't really advance the plot. It just kind of gets you into the spirit of it, gets you into that kind of.
Yeah, and I mean
Yeah,
this song, the opening song of this film, The Greatest Show, it gets a reprise later in the film, but it sort of introduces you to this circus, and then that it turns out that that's in the main character's imagination as a little boy. He's like looking into the future, what he wants to become. He wants to put on this show, so it's very clever how it does that. The music itself, though, all of the songs sound exactly the same as each other, and in all honesty, if you listen to in the UK, Kiss Radio, Capital FM. Radio One,
yeah,
anything like that, any classic top 40 chart numbers, all the music sound like a collection of that. Every song, you listen to it and you go, that really reminds me of that song, or that aspect of the song really reminds me of that one. And it's all modern chart stuff. And there really isn't any variety there. If you look at La La Land, for example, the music to that film, most of it was done in style of those old Hollywood musical films like Singing in the Rain and all the other host of musicals like that. And there was a good like jazz infused core to it as well, which of course is with Ryan Gosling's character. All the music felt organic to the film itself.
I just can't wait for a kind of Attack the Block styled musical, like Attack the Block, but as a musical, like that kind of street level language and stuff like that into a musical. I think that would do pretty well, actually.
Yeah, that's pretty neat thing. Yeah,
like somewhere between Attack the Block and 8 Mile would probably be a quite good niche to go for at this stage. In both film and music, I feel like it would be appreciated quite well. So I feel like I need to ask you a couple of questions, just to kind of tie up this review. Is it worth seeing? Because I'm still kind of debating in my head whether I'm going to go see it or not, or if I'm going to get a chance to see it or anything like that. Is it worth going to see?
If you want to see it, check it out. It's not going to have any impact on you, really. It's an easy sit. It's like just over an hour and a half. Like you'll go and see it. You might go, that was fine. That's pretty much what I came out of it. I hated the music, which was a big thing for me. The music didn't feel organic to this film. Every time it started, it felt like I just turned on the radio on what was the most popular song at the moment, what's number one in like the top 40 charts. And the music didn't feel organic to the film itself. It didn't feel of the time. It didn't feel of the period. An example of this, Rebecca Ferguson's character is an opera singer, and Hugh Jackman hires her. He's never heard her sing before, and he says that I'm going to back your show. I'm going to have you sing a number at one of my shows to show you off to the world, essentially, give you more of an audience and to get more of a following for you. She's an opera singer, they say. She's one of the best opera singers around. The spotlight comes on her, all's quiet in the audience, and you're waiting for this beautiful operatic voice to come out, and it's like a pop ballad that you'd hear on the radio. It's nothing to the style of an opera, and like she's playing with a full orchestra in the film, and you've got like a synthesizer and drum beat and everything like that, and it just takes you out of it because it doesn't feel like it's in the moment. And I think that was a big missed opportunity. In an ideal scenario, they should have just done a biographical film about P.T. Barnum. If you were going to do a musical, I would have just done a complete overhaul of the music and just made it fit more and just make it have more of a purpose in the film. That being said, the performances are great. The spectacle is there in most of the numbers, and it is nice to see some of the staging if you're into the choreography and aspects like that of a musical. I
don't really feel like I don't really feel like from the way you've kind of described it that there would be anything that could be spoiled. It's a biographical film, so if you know about the life of P.T. Barnum, then obviously you know how things ended, or at least you know how kind of the story will go. I'm just going to go ahead and guess that it's going to have a happy ending because it's a happy-go-lucky film.
Of course it does.
It's PG. Like one thing that is part of P.T. Barnum's history, which I talked to you before about, is that he did go bankrupt. He did start to lose the support from the people who were in his show. He actually got into some major arguments with the people in his show, and he didn't treat them the best as the ringmaster, I would say. In
terms of aspects like that was the area that I thought they really glossed over, and that was probably really horrible to the people that were involved in that circus, because he did have a sort of like what did he call it, a curiosities circus, a circus of freaks, if you will, as it was dubbed at the time, and they weren't treated well at all back in the day.
Yeah.
They were just looked at as acts to be laughed at or to be jeered at or to be pointed at. But this movie does away with all that, and it tries to show a side of it that it's uniqueness and it has acceptance for everyone, and he treats them well, and he looks after them well, and he cares for them. In terms of disregarding them, there's only one scene in the film. It's where his circus has really taken off. He's been included in this very high society VIP party, lots of posh people in there, lots of drinks, and Rebecca Ferguson's character, the opera singer's there. It's just after she's done a number. And all of the, I'm going to call them unusual people because we're PC now. The unusual people come in there and they say, like, we would like to see the singer. Like, that was a great performance. We want to see it. And he, like, basically says, like, oh, no, you've got a show in, like, an hour. Like, you can't come in here, and slams the door on them. And then it goes into This Is Me. But there's no sort of ramifications of that. They never really bring that up again, that they're really mad at him for basically not wanting to be seen with them in a party with people like that.
In the high society, yeah.
And then they just naturally accept him again, probably through a musical number, if I'm remembering rightly. And, you know, they all want him to start his circus up again at the end. There's a critic in the film. There's this sort of like running character, this running subplot between P.T. Barnum and his harshest critic in the newspaper, who goes to all of his shows, hates P.T. Barnum and what he stands for, hates his show because he doesn't see it being of any artistic merit or anything like that, and just sort of like a really lowest common denominator show. Towards the end, he kind of finds acceptance with it. He says that I never liked your show, but everyone else did, and everyone was fooled by it, was swept up in the magic of it, and they can still be caught up in the whole glitz and glamour of it and the showbiz of it. And I guess that is sort of like a succinct review for my own review of this film. If you're just going in for spectacle, for like music, like a fun little family adventure this Christmas over the December period, then you're going to get that, and that's fine. If you're going in,
or you go see Jumanji.
Absolutely go and see Jumanji over this. Hell, go and see Star Wars again over this. Like, there's a lot of stuff out this month, and not just that, but we're getting into Oscar season now. Like, the cinema is going to be packed full, at least for us in the UK, because we get them in January. Packed full of new movies coming out every single week. We've got Coco coming out. We've got The Darkest Hour.
All the Money in the World.
All the 3 Billboards Out of Ebbing, Missouri.
So many films, everything.
So many films, and this is just going to drop off. I think it'll make its money back. Another thing I didn't mention very briefly, this is all I have to say, that there's a really throwaway love at first sight romance plotline in it with Zac Efron and Zendaya. Like, they just look at each other and it's like, oh, they're in love, star-crossed lovers kind of thing, which...
Yeah, of course.
There's like elements of racism in there because she's of mixed race and Zac Efron comes from a very wealthy family, white family, high society, everything like that. And when he's kind of embarrassed to be seen with her at the beginning, and that's sort of like his story arc that he goes through with her. But it's all very PG Disney level. Like, we can't say any offensive like words they would have.
No mentions of Zippity Doodah's Songs of the South, kind of.
No, nothing like this. It's
dredging up Disney's past.
The point is that I'm going to end with this. The film could have been more. It could have dealt with some complex themes. It could have been very hard hitting. It could have been unpleasant. It could have been really dealt with some dark stuff. As it is, it's just all service level. It's just all glitz, no depth at all to it. And that's pretty much my review on The Greatest Showman.
Okay.
Yeah,
I guess that's it then.
We'll close out then. So that'll do it for our video today. Be sure to comment, subscribe, let us know what you thought of this movie. Am I way off base on this movie? Did you like it? Didn't you like it? Anything related to The Greatest Showman, please do drop us a comment. We should be going live very, very soon after this, but it depends when people are going to watch this video because there may be a video up anyway. We are going live for our breakdown of I think we're doing top 5 each. Of
top 5 best and worst
movies of 2017.
Yes. Well, that'll be 15 in total, I guess.
Yes.
Or if we have crossovers, then it's going to be less than 15. But to be honest, this year, I think there's probably going to be about 10. There's going to be a load of crossovers this year.
It's going to be a very fun video. It's going to be a nice sort of like cap off to 2017 as we look back on that. And before we enter 2018 and a whole nother 365 days of brand new movies. That'll do it for our video now. Thank you to everyone who watched, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.